We are over halfway there on our way to Korčula. We stopped very briefly in the town of Stone, which I can't think of a more apropos name for a town that's basically completely made out of stone. Everything from the buildings, the churches, the walkways, even the wall that extends up on the side of the hill that overlooks the city. It's so reminiscent of the Great Wall of China and all of these different walls you think of that kind of weave their way through hilly terrain. Stone is basically a miniaturized version of what we've seen in Dubrovnik and the old towns we saw in Montenegro. Just a very enclosed area where everything is pedestrian walkways, restaurants, and it's all in this backdrop of such a medieval place. You can just kind of picture what this was like 600, 700 years ago. There's only about 1,000 people that live here in the town of Stone, but there are a lot of cats. There might be almost 1,000 cats as well. The cats roam around like they do in a lot of Croatian towns, take care of the rat problem. I was saying before, I've not seen any rats here in Croatia, and I think it's probably because they have all these stray cats roaming around. They're doing their part to make it a nice community. I'm a fan of the cats.
If you look at a map of Croatia, towards the southern part of the country, there will be a gap of coastline that is not Croatian. It's actually a part of Bosnia-Herzegovina. And this chunk of land, about 24 kilometers, was sold to the Ottoman Empire. So the Croatians, if they want to avoid this chunk of land not having to go through border control, they actually built a bridge that connects the southern part and the northern part. So you're still in Croatia. No need to get the passport out. Stone is basically the last town before this little gap of coastline. We've stopped at the Matusko winery for a little wine tasting. It's just outside the island of Korčula, but a lot of the grapes do come from the island.
One of the best features of the island of Korčula is the wine. It's considered the wine capital of Croatia and has some of the best in the entire country. This is the Dingač, which is probably the most famous from this region. It's a red wine, and it actually is exposed to the sun just a little bit longer than most of these other wines. They put it in a clay pot and then put it underground for 6 months, and then after that it goes to the oak barrel. But it's very interesting that you can see for a red wine it's actually pretty clear. And by the way, I'm not a wine expert. However, I will say this is very enjoyable, especially with the amazing Croatian scenery behind us. Welcome to the Island of Korcula. So if you're in Dubrovnik, this takes about 2.5 hours to get up to, but you can only access it by boat. This is actually completely disconnected from the mainland. We are so excited to be here. We're gonna explore the Old Town, yet another medieval fortress of a town. We've gotten so used to these, just walking around these cool stone streets.
The Adriatic Sea is so blue. I've never seen anything like it besides the Caribbean. You can see straight to the bottom from the shore. It's unbelievable. I also think the Adriatic Sea is so salty, you can just float so effortlessly. Let me know if that's true.
I don't think we could ever get enough of these old towns. They're so unique.
They may all seem the same, but they're totally not. Each has their own flair and personality, for sure.
Because, I mean, the surroundings make such a big difference. If it's water, if it's mountains. The one thing I always think about is that people actually live here. We talked to an Uber driver the other night that lives in the old town of Dubrovnik. And that's gotta be such a different lifestyle than most people are accustomed to. Basically no access to roads, places to park. A bike would be really important, I would imagine. So I decided to climb up to the top of the bell tower. It's very windy. The rain's starting to come in a little bit. And that is one of the most claustrophobic experiences. I'm gonna show you just looking down. And you come all the way from down there. It's very tight, so if you're claustrophobic in any way, I wouldn't recommend it. But hey, we made it. Let's see how these views look. Wow, what an amazing view. If you're able to battle the elements in that very tight climb up, I'd say worth it. I am the only one crazy enough to be up on this tower right now. Very understandable. It's only 30 kuna to come up. Really glad I documented this. St. Mark's Tower, by the way. San Marco Tower. The wind is now howling. I'm gonna have to go down. It's kind of interesting when you go down because only one person can really go up or down at one time. I hope you can even hear me with this wind. And it's just so claustrophobic. I didn't even want to really film, but I'm gonna see if I can get a shot going down because it's pretty incredible how narrow this staircase is going down. Very nearly lost my hat just now. All right, I think that's my cue. Okay, I definitely can't walk, hold the camera, and film at the same time on my phone, so this is the view you're gonna get. Look at my feet, look at the stairs. Now, one of Korčula's biggest claims to fame is that Marco Polo, the famous explorer, was actually born right here. Or at least that's what some people believe. Some people believe he was born in Venice. Honestly, the entire story of Marco Polo, including his explorations, is extremely fuzzy as to what people believe happened and what was actually recorded. The story goes that he started right here in Korčula, eventually made it to Venice, eventually met up with his father in probably modern day Iraq or Syria, they're not quite sure, and then he actually went all the way to the east of China. Who knows what actually happened? This is all the way back in the 13th century, but still pretty cool to think that one of the world's most famous explorers started right here in Korčula, Croatia.